My name is Xavier Robert, coming to you live from Uyo, the capital city of Akwa Ibom State. It's a terrific afternoon to look at the world view today. On our top stories today on World View, China simulates sealing off Taiwan in third day of drills as it appeared to use an aircraft carrier to launch jets towards the island. Ukrainian 4-year-old man and his 11-year-old daughter. Kuwait announces new government amidst ongoing political crisis, the oil-rich country's 7th in 3 years. The details of these stories and more in a moment. First on World View today, China said it simulated sealing off Taiwan in a third day of drills as it appeared to use an aircraft carrier to launch jets towards the island. Taiwan said it had detected jets to its east, while China said its Shandong aircraft carrier had taken part. Beijing began the exercises on Saturday after Taiwan President Nancy Pelosi's visit to Taipei last August. Taiwan considers itself a sovereign state. China sees it as a breakaway province that will eventually be brought under Beijing's control by force, if necessary. For Taiwan, mutually exclusive, as it has concluded 3 days of live fire drills near the self-governed island, and said at a briefing today that it is the goal to protect peace. If it is the goal to protect peace and stability in the Taiwan Strait, then any form of Taiwan independence separatism must be firmly opposed. The war games simulated strikes on Taiwan and encirclement of the island, and the state media reports that dozens of planes had practiced an aerial blockade. The People's Liberation Army's Eastern Command said in a statement that conditions. In the meantime, 2 prominent Chinese activists have been jailed for subversion after more than 3 years in detention. The wife of lawyer Deng Jiazi tweeted that he was handed a 12-year jail term by a court in Shandong in 1 day in June 2022. They were separately detained in 2019 and 2020 as part of a sprawling crackdown on legal activists. Away from that now, the pilot of a hot air balloon which burst into flames and crashed near the pyramids of Teotihuacan in Mexico on 1st April has been charged with homicide. 2 of the passengers, a couple from Mexico, died in Mexico City, are very popular. But the Federation of Hot Air Balloons of Teotihuacan said the balloon which crashed was not registered with them. Video of the old man and his 39-year-old wife died while their 13-year-old daughter suffered burns and a broken bone. She has since been discharged from hospital. In a separate development, thousands party of being under the sway of Russia and of backsliding on democracy. The government has been accused of jailing political opponents and silencing independent media. The rally was organized by the main opposition party in support of jailed former President Mikhail Saakashvili. Saakashvili, who served 2 terms as president between 2004 and politically motivated. In a separate development, the mother from a British-Israeli family who was wounded in a suspected Palestinian gun attack on Friday, which killed 2 of her daughters, has died. Lucy D. were buried on Sunday in the settlement of Fa Zion in front of their father and 3 siblings. The family moved to Israel 9 years ago from the UK, where Lucy's husband had served. Leo D. asked, open quote, "How will I explain to Lucy what has happened to our 2 precious gifts?" Close quote. Now, Ein Kerem Hospital in Jerusalem announced that Lucy was also known by. Meanwhile, a Palestinian child has been killed by Israeli forces in the Aqabat Jabba refugee camp in Jericho as a settler march to an illegal outpost near the occupied city of Nablus brought more violence to the West Bank. Mohammed Fayez Balhan, who was 15 years refugee camp in an attempt to apprehend Palestinians it suspected of attacks against Israelis, and that its forces had responded to being fired at by the suspects. In a related development, 4 bodies have been found after an explosion flattened a 4-story apartment building in the southern French city of Marseille. The local authorities said 4 others remain unclear, but investigators are looking into the possibility of a gas leak. The Housing Minister Oliver Klein described the discovery of the bodies as gruesome, difficult and dramatic, and told reporters the government would support the families of the victims. 5 people from neighboring buildings sustained minor injuries in the explosion, and around 200 people had to be evacuated from their homes. The fire hampered progress and made it difficult for rescuers to deploy sniffer dogs, although authorities said the strikes carried out during the Orthodox Church's observance of Palm Sunday, including an attack that killed a 50-year-old man and his 11-year-old daughter. Ukrainian emergency services said the man and his daughter were killed after Russian forces struck a residential building in the southeastern city of Zaporizhia. A woman believed to be the wife and mother of the victims was found alive on the rubble at the site of the attack. Russia's defense ministry said it had destroyed 70,000 tons of fuel near Zaporizhia as warehouses storing missiles, ammunition, and artillery. The fighting most concentrated on the eastern cities of Bakhmut and Avdiivka. In the midst of its ongoing political crisis, Kuwait has announced a new government. The oil-rich country's 7 portfolios of foreign affairs and oil, run by Salem Abdullah Al-Jaber Al-Sabah and Badr Al-Mullah, respectively, have not changed, while Manab Abdulaziz Al-Hajre was made Minister for Finance and Economic and Investment Affairs. Amani Suleiman Bukamas now holds the Public Works portfolio, while Mai Jazem Al-Bagli holds Social Affairs, the only 2 women in the cabinet. Now, after the break, we unveiled women. The police has announced in a new attempt to rein in increasing numbers of women defying the compulsory dress code. So stay with us for details on this and more right after the break. For an attack on an airport in the country's northern Kurdish region, while a U.S. official confirmed there had been an attack on a convoy with U.S. military personnel in the area, but said there were no casualties. The Iraqi demand on Saturday came as a Turkish Defense Ministry official told media that no Turkish armed forces operation had taken place in that region in recent days. Iraq's presidency said the attack on Friday took place in the vicinity of the Sulaymaniyah airport in the semi-autonomous Kurdish region, denouncing it as a flagrant aggression against its sovereignty. It said Ankara had no legal justification to continue intimidating civilians under the pretext that forces hostile to it are present on Iraqi soil. In a separate development, Iranian authorities are installing cameras in public places and thoroughfares to identify and penalize unveiled women. This is according to an announcement by the police, which is a new attempt to rein in increasing numbers of women defying, according to a police statement on Saturday. The move is aimed at preventing resistance against the hijab law, now carried by the judiciary's Mixen news agency and other state media, individual or collective behavior and action in violation of the hijab law. The announcement came amid growing anger among the country's powerful religious elites over the relaxation in mandatory hijab rules since the anti-government protests that erupted in September last year. Away from that now, at least 20 people are missing after a boat attempting to cross the Mediterranean. The Coast Guard rescued 17 others, 2 of whom are in critical condition after the boat sank off the coast of Sfax. The Sfax Court Judge Fauzi Mazmouzdi said this on Saturday. In recent weeks, dozens have gone missing or died in several drowning accidents off the Tunisian coast. Tunisia has replaced Libya as a main said on Friday that more than 14,000 refugees, mostly from sub-Saharan Africa, were intercepted or rescued in the first 3 months of the year while trying to cross into Europe, 5 times more than figures recorded in the same period last year. India is now home to 3,167 tigers, 200 more than it had 4 years ago, according to estimates from the latest tiger census. The Prime Minister Narendra Modi released the report on Sunday at an event to mark 50 years of the country's Project Tiger campaign. India is estimated to have more than 70% of the world's tigers. Modi said India had not only saved the tiger but also given it a great ecosystem in which to flourish. Project Tiger was launched in 1973 by then Prime Minister Indira Gandhi after the animal's numbers became worryingly low. Between 1875 and 1925 alone, some 80,000 tigers were killed in India, one estimate had said. Now, bounty initiatives including a ban on hunting and awareness drives in villages have been put in place to conserve the tiger, which is also India's national animal. The laws were also strengthened to make it virtually illegal to kill or capture wild animals, even when they were involved in conflict situations with humans. Since 2006, there has been a healthy uptick in tiger numbers. Meanwhile, police in the northern Indian state of Uttar Pradesh are on while sitting next to her husband. Now, local police said they have registered a case against the woman who has been missing since the incident. Celebratory gunfire during weddings is common in some northern Indian states and often causes injuries and even accidental deaths. According to Indian law, anyone who uses a firearm in a rush. Away from that, a Saudi Arabian delegation is in Yemen's capital Sana'a for talks with the Houthi rebel movement aimed at reaching a new and potentially permanent ceasefire. A mediation team from Oman is also in Sana'a. The capital has been controlled by the Houthis since they drove the Yemeni government out in 2015. Of Yemenis dead and some 80% of the population relying on aid. No official confirmation has been made by the Saudi side yet, but Houthi outlets say that both the Saudi and Omani delegations are in Sana'a. A leaked photo appears to show the Houthi leader Mohammed Ali al-Houthi shaking the hand of a Saudi official whose face is obscured. But there have been reports from various sources that an agreement could be signed before the end of the month. Now in business, Elon Musk's electric car company Tesla says it is expanding in China as it builds a new factory to make its large-scale batteries. The plant in Shanghai will be able to produce 10,000 of its Megapark energy storage units a year, according to the firm. A Megapark plant in California, which also produces 10,000 of the units each year. Musk said on Twitter that the new Chinese plant will be in addition to Tesla's US factory. Warehouses and sent black chemical-laden smoke drifting over the city. About 140 people were evacuated on Sunday, and it is not yet clear how dangerous the situation is, according to a police spokesperson. A fire department spokesperson said it had reduced the threat level somewhat even though the fire was still burning at midday, but that people should remain indoors with their windows closed. Authorities said the fire began about 4 a.m. local time in the Rotherbund between Hamburg and Berlin and other cities. A public safety alert conveyed through a mobile phone app advised people in Hamburg to close windows, turn off ventilation systems and air conditioning, and to avoid the area, but no injuries were reported. More comfortable, relatively modern horse-drawn carriage. They will ride in the Diamond Jubilee State coach, first used in 2014 before returning in the Gold State curtains in 1953. Crowds can watch the procession going along the Mall and Whitehall in London. The carriage procession will be one of the spectacular sights of the coronation on 6th May. The royal couple and other members of the royal family will head out from the gates of Buckingham through Admiralty Arch, along Whitehall and to Parliament Square before arriving at the Abbey. Some 70 years ago, the Queen also travelled along Victoria Embankment by the River's Thames, making her outward journey a slightly longer 1.6 miles. The return leg, which has been named the coronation procession, will take the same 1.3-mile route back, but will be much larger in scale, times longer, covering 5 miles. It took 2 hours and saw her waving to crowds along Piccadilly, Oxford Street and Regent Street. And finally, on World View today, the new Super Mario Bros. Movie has broken box office records, scoring the most successful global opening, $377 million around the world in its first 5 days on release. That overtook the previous record of $358 million held by Frozen 2. The numbers are sensational, according to David A. Gross, who said it would easily brat while Jack Black plays fire-breathing villain Bowser. It left many critics cold, with the New York Post's Johnny Olesinski saying it's just another soulless ploy. It was a disappointment to match the live-action version in 1993, a reference to the infamous original adaptation starring Bob Hoskins. But many fans seem to disagree, with the 56% critics score on Rotten Tomatoes eclipsed by the 96% audience score. Even Elon Musk tweeted that the critics are disconnected from reality. 23 so far. And with that, we wrap up our package for you on Worldview today. Do ensure to follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our